My name is Bridget King. I am the Director of Partner Development for Telarus out of Detroit, so covering a portion of the Midwest. I think people joining this call generally know who I am. But the first half of this call will be a discussion between our very own Jason Stein, our VP of Cybersecurity here at Telarus, and Tony Pietrocola, who is the president of AgileBlue, stationed right here in our backyard in Cleveland, Ohio. And the intent is really to simplify and clarify some of the terms and the trends that we've been seeing in cybersecurity because I think I want to say the waters like of cybersecurity have shifted a lot over the last couple of years, and there's a lot of terms that are thrown at us as consultants and TAs, and they're confusing. And if they're confusing to us, then they're definitely confusing for a customer. So I really want to make sure that we are clarifying and simplifying all of those things as we're just talking about how to engage with customers in cybersecurity opportunities and find more opportunities for us to pursue together. So thank you to our sponsors for today. AgileBlue is here for this fireside chat and will join us for the second half. The second half will be our virtual dating game where we will talk about the specifics of our suppliers that are here today. So thank you to AgileBlue, Comcast Business, Entirety, and TechMate for joining us on this quest today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jason and Tony to have this discussion and really lead us into what the waters of cybersecurity look like right now and how to make them a little smoother for our TAs on this call.
Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. Tony, thanks for joining us as well today.
Thank you for having me, Jason.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I love giving statistics and then jumping into some questions that will help some of the partners on this call. So the first one is I love the statistic that Gartner basically comes out and says that 80% of organizations are actually going to outsource at least one component of cybersecurity in 2025. One, that means that they're getting more open to the conversation. They're actually used to be the case where they wanted to handle everything internally and it was hard to outsource it. It just didn't feel natural for them and they felt like they lost control. But now that they're getting more comfortable with outsourcing it, let's talk about the gotchas. So as they're looking to either do it themselves or outsource it more, what are some of the things that your organization deals with and realizes that companies, clients of our partners, don't really take into consideration when they're trying to align with an organization like yours?
It's a really good question. And I think it go in many directions, especially the size of a client. But I think at the end of the day, when people are looking to outsource and they're maybe determining if that makes the most sense, I think one of the biggest things they don't take into account, Jason, is can they staff the expert resources? And the answer invariably is it's extraordinarily hard to recruit them. Number two, it's even harder to retain them because cyber professionals want to work on cyber engagements, not necessarily for an organization that might, I don't know, be a car maker or whatever they might do, right? It's hard. So also when organizations think about this, I think one of the other gotchas they got to think about is all their data coming together and correlated? I think folks will think, hey, I got EDR. I just do an EDR. I'm good to go. Life's good. No, life's not good. You have networks, you have firewalls, you have probably everybody on this call can empathize what I'm about to say. Everybody has cloud in some capacity, even if it's just 365. And everybody thinks Azure or AWS or Google is in charge of your security if you're in the cloud. They're not. They're in charge of their own security. It's a shared security model. So when they think about it, sometimes they think, let me get these endpoints locked down. That's not even half the battle. It's those cloud SaaS applications that you're not thinking through, where that data is even more important for that managed partner to be monitoring and hopefully helping out in terms of the security posture.
I love that. It is getting more easy. It depends on the DNA. So everyone always asks, what's the silver bullet when talking cybersecurity? But there isn't one because every company is made up of different IT people with different backgrounds, different specialties. and it's just not that easy. So let's talk about the number one conversation of 2025 and even part of 2024, artificial intelligence. Everybody wants it. It's brand new, right? Just kidding. I know it's part of cybersecurity for the last, what, 10, 15, 20 years, where we've been using artificial intelligence to help identify any threats, look at code. But artificial intelligence is becoming one of those big conversations for partners this year. You know, you have 85% of clients want to adopt some form of artificial intelligence. And according to Deloitte, it's going to be a $750 billion conversation. How do partners on this call navigate an artificial intelligence conversation and then shift it to talk about cybersecurity and what your organization can help them with?
So look, we all know AI is this insanely big buzzword with everything. Everything's AI. I had a tailor approach me and said, my way of measurements, we now use AI. I'm like, are you kidding me? That old tape doesn't work anymore. The measuring. Come on, man. We're not all AI companies. But here's the thing. I think when you look across the board, and of course I'm biased, we're all biased, but I don't know of another industry where AI can make such an immediate impact. And let me explain why I'm saying this. Cybersecurity is dealing with extraordinarily sophisticated cyber criminals who use AI. This is what they're using, right? So you're already playing defense against people using something that is intelligent, can morph, can do things. There's things right now in the wild that are changing file names based on the role at an organization, HR to someone in operations, to someone in engineering. This technology is getting so smart. So think about this. When you think about AI and cyber, there's so much data to ingest. There's so much data that needs to be correlated. There's so many attack surfaces out there, especially now with remote workers. AI is allowing us to move with speed and efficiency. But here's the biggest piece: accuracy. Our models had shifted over the last year since we implemented our AI system called Sapphire, where we're at about 98% accuracy rate in ripping down the false positives, focusing on the true. That, I think, is organizations' biggest get. And not only that, AI has shown it can also reduce people's costs. And here's why: it's reducing human manual workflows. So it's not a job killer, it's a job enhancer. But instead of people spending 90% of their day working on those human workflows, if we can automate those and let people focus on the challenging aspects, the responses, the working with the customers to harden their security, that's a huge gain. And that's something AI definitely brings to the table.
Yeah, you bring up some great points. So even though 85 million jobs are going to be displaced this year because of artificial intelligence, it's the last thing that organizations actually are trying to prioritize. They're trying to do productivity, customer experience. So you bring up great points there. So as we navigate artificial intelligence, you know, what's interesting is only 12% of organizations actually are prepared, follow a framework, have some type of AI roadmap in place. How does your organization help with artificial intelligence? And do you get asked to help prepare organizations? Is there gotchas around artificial intelligence that people come to you and they just haven't considered? Because let's face it, the board of directors is basically just saying, we want you to implement AI, and just throwing it on IT. And they don't even know where to begin.
That's right. Well, I think there's lots of gotchas, but let me say this. Very few companies can obviously, and here's the key word, securely implement AI, especially in a cyber attack. Let me give you an example. You've seen lots of companies say, hey, we have AI starting today. We're all AI, prices go up, we're ready to roll. Oh yeah, what are you doing? They're sending commands, they're sending APIs via wrapper out to ChatGPT or Perplexity. So they're going outside of their secure networks, going out to the open web to bring responses back. How does that make sense? We've built our AI to be holistically built within our platform. So if somebody asks a question, let me give you an example. Hey, is my DNS server under attack? Or this is something a client did ask Sapphire recently. Which one of my devices is the most riskiest within my network? And they had about 1,000 devices on the network. Sapphire came back in 24 seconds with the answer. Here's the reason. Our AI only focuses on our customers' implementations. So it's a defined, secure, in a box, theoretically, response. It only knows the customer's data, and it only knows when it sees anomalous behavior. That is AI that's working for the client. If you just say, go do AI because the board said so, what does that even mean? Are we trying to operationally improve something? Are we trying to reduce the number of vendors? Are we trying to get smart? What are we trying to do? Well, AI with cyber reduces that manual workflow, allows us to crunch a huge amount of data very, very fast, right? Very fast, and now make a move so we can mitigate any potential cyber risk. So if a board of directors says, what have you implemented? We can show them, not just, hey, look at my marketing materials. This is why now you're paying, I don't know, 25% more per month.
So it's really interesting that 24 seconds to get that response time. How long did that used to take back when we didn't have AI?
So here's the example. If you ask a question about DNS, hey, is my DNS server under attack? Sapphire within 24 seconds will look at 6 months of log files. So if a human being had to look at 6 months of log files for a server, okay, that's taking many, many hours, right? Can be, right? Okay. But here's the point. If you have 1,000 devices, 500 devices on your network, whatever the number is, doesn't matter. And you say, which is my riskiest device? Theoretically, a human being needs to look at the vulnerability and of everything over, I don't know, minutes, hours, whatever it is, not 24 seconds. And by the way, that riskiest device now, why is it the riskiest? Now let's clean it up. That day, you've solved a problem. You've plugged a hole. If you go days without figuring it out, then plug a hole, maybe somebody comes through that gap pretty quickly. That's the difference.
I love that. That's fantastic. So governance, risk, and compliance isn't a big initiative this year, is it?
Yeah, no, never is. Never is.
So there's been a ton of changes around compliance. Even as early as January, they put a whole bunch of new things, especially in the healthcare space. There's going to be a lot of compliance around artificial intelligence, government controls, statewide controls. Let's talk about this conversation. How does your organization approach the governance, risk, and compliance conversation with clients? And, what do you do to help them prepare to pass their audits? When you think about AI governance has popped up overnight. It was just a $100 million, $200 million entity a year ago, and now it's a $6.5 billion conversation. So, how do you guys approach it? What are you doing to help prepare organizations to make sure that they're not leaking out sensitive data as you have all these large language models and artificial intelligence in place? You got clients accessing it, you have employees accessing it. How do you protect that data?
Yeah. Well, you just brought up the key word, and it's data. Sometimes people think, oh, it's all about systems and networks. No, it's the data. First of all, where does it live? Here's a key. Who has access to it? And number one. Number two, are you monitoring the access to it? That is huge. And when you look across the board at compliance, and by the way, I am not a compliance expert. I don't even play one on these webinars, but I know a little bit about it. Take something like CMMC, which if anybody touches the federal government in any way, CMMC is going to become extraordinarily important for you. When you start looking at some of those parameters about 24/7 monitoring and detection and understanding who's touching your data and monitoring who has access to that data, that is huge. And the amount of companies that are actually doing that are like this small. That's why CMMC is going to be a pain for a lot of people. But when you look across the board at whatever you're looking at, from SOC to ISO to whatever, NIST, and all the way down the line to CMMC, whatever the framework is, it's all about data protection. But how can you protect something if you, A, don't know where it is, B, aren't monitoring everything, and C, don't have a true 24/7 platform that's monitoring and able to respond to those types of issues? And I think that is where folks get a little, they think, hey, look, we got to get certified, we got to get audited. Yeah, but then how do you keep that? You have to make sure you understand where all this data is and understand where that exposure comes from. And that's the key. And I think that's where GRC continues to grow, but so does security operations, because how can you effectively manage any type of compliance if you're not understanding where that data is and who's touching it?
And for everybody on the call, if you have a question, please throw it in the chat. We'll get to your questions. So you bring up an interesting point. So one, we don't want to use acronyms too much. So CMMC, just so everybody's aware, is a framework that follows NIST, which is the National Institute Standards for all cybersecurity. And CMMC basically says that if you're doing any business with a public sector or government entity and you're not CMMC certified, you will actually lose those contracts. And so there's a lot of conversations around your clients, making sure that they have these frameworks in place, or it could be detrimental to their business. It's interesting because I was just talking to a really well-known big university, and they were talking about how they try to implement more security controls, more compliance, more framework to help protect their students, their organization. But they have teachers that are tenured faculty, and they don't want to adhere to their standards, and they can't tell them what to do because they're protected. And you think about these tenured professors that we granted this status to a while ago, before artificial intelligence came into place, before all these large language models. And now they're in control of all this sensitive data from their employees. How do you go in and advise organizations who have all these rogue employees or rogue teachers? Like, what do you do to make sure that they're making sure that they're not going to be audited and have all these massive fines?
The interesting thing about that is, you think about the two words, malicious and negligence, right? Very
Yeah.
rarely is it malicious. There's use cases, but it's rare. It's the negligence, right? I was just talking to someone a little bit earlier today. There was a problem going on, and my first question was, did somebody click on something? And the answer was no, they went to a website they probably shouldn't have. And you hear about these things. This is 2025. Okay, we were told back in AOL days and IM Messenger, don't click on things because bad things can happen. If things haven't evolved in 20 years, they're probably not going to evolve in the next 20. Humans do things. We're humans. We click on things, we do things, we subscribe to things, whatever it might be. We can't change who we are. We can do training, right, to get over some of that negligence. We can show people the way. But at the end of the day, you probably have 11 tabs open, 54 applications going on, a call you're about to make when we're done today. So it's doing all this work at the same time makes us even more susceptible to these things. And by the way, remote work doesn't help. I think you might be remote today. I think you said you were traveling. I'm not today, which is shocking. But think about that. Now you just brought in public Wi-Fis that have all kinds of problems on them, man. There's just so many ways. So it's a lot to think about. And when you're a trusted advisor to your customers, the key is they trust you. Just start the conversation. Let's just start talking about it. We're not trying to come in with a hard sell. Are we trying to sell you something? Of course we are, but we know it works. But have a conversation around it to try to get some of these ideas going. Because I think a lot of folks are very standoffish sometimes because they just think trying to sell me something. Well, of course we are. Everybody is. You go to Burger King, they're trying to sell you something. If they go to Burger King, I don't know, maybe they go to the salad place. I don't know.
So you bring up a great point. So first off, 88% of all breaches are caused by humans. And it's tough because there's a lot of fatigue when it comes to security awareness training. Nobody wants to do them. We all want to get it done as fast as possible. We're all super irritated that there's 10 questions instead of five questions instead of one. So it's super tough to get people trained from that capacity. It's really hard for organizations to get their arms around it. So they got to gamify it more and make it more fun for employees, put a lot of rewards in place, or, it's just not going to happen. Let's talk about, I know there's no silver bullet, but what are some of the easiest ways that partners on this call can have a business conversation when it comes to cybersecurity with their clients? Do you have an idea of what you like to use to open up the conversation? And, think about, there's two different ways. There's the approach of, we can go products or OEM technology, and then solution. And how do you then turn that product conversation into a solution conversation?
I really believe it all starts with just having a very frank conversation with these folks, number one. Number two, ask them where they're comfortable. What's your comfort level with your current cybersecurity strategy? If somebody says, I am so comfortable, things are good, I don't know where you go with a conversation like that. But let me tell you something. I've been in cyber for a while. We have hundreds and hundreds of customers. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds more. No one's ever said, yeah, we're good. Nothing can ever happen to us. People might say, hey, I feel good about X, Y. I don't know about my cloud though. Cloud, we're not really doing stuff with them. I'm in Azure. I think Microsoft's protecting us. And that will give us the openings to say, Microsoft's firming their stuff up. They kind of don't care about your tenant, Let's talk a little bit about that. How do you feel? Do you guys use 365? Oh, you do. That's the number one attack surface right now. Here's what some other companies have done. I think when you ask somebody what their comfort level is, you're kind of diffusing the situation, allowing them to say, I'm comfortable with my endpoints, but I'm not comfortable with my mission critical servers and this. Then it can lead down the road. I don't think you lead with platform and services, because I think one thing you're going to hear from a lot of people is they don't have enough experts on staff. Okay, so that right there tells you they're going to need help, number one. And number two, I will guarantee you, as more folks are doing more in the cloud, if not just about everything, they're going to tell you they don't know if they have their cloud pinned down. There's a lot of opportunity out there for everybody. This isn't a bad sell. This is a great sell. This helps protect businesses operate. It keeps jobs. This part of cybersecurity is so fundamental. It's not really a hard sell. It just needs to be a conversation that asks, how comfortable are you? And if you're not comfortable in some areas, maybe there's some areas to help.
I love that. You had mentioned something about it not being a sale. And, look, ultimately, every sale, either you're selling them on why they should trust you and go with you for cybersecurity, or they're selling you on why they don't.
Right.
I think the way to get to clients is to help them realize that we're here to be, an extension of their team, a resource for them. I met with a really large $9 billion entity over coffee, and we just talked to their CIO and said, hey, listen, it's hard keeping up with tech. Do you have a team that you can just bounce tech off of? Judgment-free zone, bounce some tech. We'll make some recommendations on who you should look at. And, if we're able to support you from that capacity, great. But, we're never going to try and sell you anything. And we ended up walking out of there with $50,000 in monthly recurring just by letting them know that they have resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to take that approach, because, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but you're right. You do have to have some types of sales capacity in order to initiate that conversation. But a lot of partners really struggle with, how do you initiate that conversation, because they're worried about the follow-up questions. You have a lot of support. Talk about, when you get a client, doesn't matter really where they're at, your engineering team can pivot that conversation and go deeper into that conversation stack. How easy is it for partners who've been traditionally good at selling CX and voice and data to transition into that cybersecurity model with, the support of your team?
You know what's funny, and this is going to sound a little harsh. I find it, and I'm not one of those professionals that had that, but these professionals have great relationships. And when people say, oh, I'm just used to selling voice and telecom, I can't sell cyber. Why? I couldn't sell voice or telecom, I can tell you that. We all know we have comfort zones, right? But things evolve. And cyber is by far the hottest. And I think sometimes advisors don't want to get into the conversation because they never want to seem like they're coming across disingenuous, uneducated. That's okay, right? Hey, I'm not your cyber expert, but let me bring in a team that is, and let's walk through. Just let us know let's talk about your comfort. Where do you feel comfortable? Where do you think you have some gaps? Take good notes, bring in a team that can then help. I think your partners and your clients will absolutely appreciate that, because obviously they trust you. They do business with you. They like you. You don't need to become a cyber expert. Does it hurt? No, but if you're not, that's okay. You're a good person, good salesperson, know how to build relationships. I think you can navigate the beginnings of a cyber conversation and not dive too deep. And then we're here to help you guys dive deep.
Okay, great. Someone put something in the chat. I really love what you talked about with Sapphire AI. What are its unique differentiators that kind of separate you from the competition? And then does it have some cloud resiliency, some cloud resident code that can help with workflows and things of that nature?
Yeah, so Sapphire was built internally by our team. We do use an LLM developed by Anthropic. We use the Claude 3 models, which are in Haiku in Amazon Bedrock. So we're within our own ecosystem. We do not go outside of our network. And think about it, Sapphire knows two things: everything about our customers, whichever customer that's specific to, and everything about our platform, all the threat intelligence and everything. So Sapphire knows everything, and in a matter of seconds can solve problems. It's not like going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, write this proposal for me, and then ChatGPT has to search the world. It's very defined, and it's there to solve problems for the clients and their tenant. So that's where we think we have a huge differentiator. And by the way, we're 4.5 years old, right? Been in market since 2020. The key to this is our technology is modern and new. We don't have 15 years of legacy behind us that we got to try to get all brought up to speed, because that's a lot of work. One last data point I'll give you: in the security operations world, level 1, level 2 analyst engineering support is level 1, level 2. We've automated 90% of that. So think about how fast, accurate, and more importantly, the efficiencies we brought to our platform and to our customers by doing that. This way we can respond within minutes, and that mitigates that risk, Jason. So I hope that makes a lot of sense to
That's great. This has been amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tony, so much. Bridget, pass it over to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I love the messaging here, which is really just focused around having those business outcome discussions, right? So it doesn't matter what the product is necessarily, right? It's just we're here to help support the customers in whatever the goal is that they're trying to achieve for their organization, right? And as we're continuing to blend the AI and security pieces together, I think that's just going to become even more apparent, right? So that we can continue to make these customers more efficient and use their resources to help them to get more work done, be more productive, right? Who doesn't want that? So I love this. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Tony. I'm going to ask the rest of my guests to jump in here. Are you all? I hope everybody's still here. Nobody
You
wants.
guys are going to play the game. I'm leaving, right, Bridget?
Yeah, you are absolutely welcome to leave. I'm so grateful for your time today,
Thank you.
Tony. Jess is going to pick it up from here to represent AgileBlue. So I'm really glad that you
Brought in
guys.
a heavy hitter. We went from JV to varsity. Good for you guys.
I
The
appreciate
opposite,
it.
but thanks.
We went the other way with Telarus. We're letting the varsity team take a break, and I'm taking over.
All right, have a great day, everyone. Good luck.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
so much, Jason. Thank you,
Bye, guys.
Tony. You guys have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much. Okay, we are missing TJ. Did TJ take a break? Okay, good. I thought you were snacks, and I was worried.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have one thing that I do have to do. So pardon me for just a second while we adjust and we make our shift over to the
Dun,
dating.
dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun, dun. Okay, I don't have any music. I don't know how to do that, but I appreciate the dancing. Yes, thank you very much. So thank you to everybody for sticking around for our virtual dating game. Somebody left us. I don't know who that was, but I'm going to take you off the wheel. But we have a couple of things going here. So we're going to start off with this dating game. We do have prizes at the end, so stick around. But first, we need to be introduced to our contestants. And this is where the music comes in, so feel free to hum along. But contestant number 1, I'm so excited to introduce Ms. Jess Breyer from AgileBlue, who just disappeared. There you are.
Here I am. I had a cough drop in my mouth. I'm still recovering from channel partners. You all feel me.
You know, I got you. But Jess is coming to us from sunny Naperville, Illinois. And when she's not at work, she can be found scuba diving, traveling, or baking. And speaking of baking, she's working hard on baking the bun in her oven, which is going to make a debut later this year. So thank you for joining us, Jess. Since we have you right here, we're doing this introduction. If you could take just a few seconds and give us the overview on AgileBlue and what AgileBlue does.
Sure. Do you want to ask me questions? Do you want to kind of do the speed dating?
Well, let's just do a quick overview first, if you don't mind. Like, who is AgileBlue?
Okay, AgileBlue is an AI-powered SecOps platform built for small to mid-market businesses to proactively detect, investigate, and respond to threats more accurately than those traditional technologies that are out there. So we keep you ahead of those next-gen attacks. So we are a SecOps provider.
I love that. And I love that we got the deep dive into the AI automation.
Yes, we'll be talking about AI when we do our speed dating game.
I love that. Okay. Well, next up, contestant number 2 is Eric Solomon, coming to us from Comcast Business. And Eric joins us from Southern California because he was smart enough to escape the Midwest and head to the sunshine. So he could pursue his goals of running ultra marathons, which absolutely blows my mind. And he's also a living musical encyclopedia before Shazam put you out of business and took over your job there. I think you were the first one displaced by AI. You're on mute, Eric.
The last part I didn't hear.
Oh, I said you're a living musical encyclopedia until Shazam put you out of a job because it took over your skill set.
I can beat Shazam. I wanted to go on that show. I can totally beat Shazam.
In 2 notes? That's a different show. But if you don't mind, can you give us a quick, I think people have a good familiarity, right, with the Comcast business name, but can you tell us a quick overview of the Comcast business security practice and what that looks like?
Yeah, so the Comcast business security practice is what we're going to focus on. A 25-year-old multinational managed security service provider, MSSP. So we're focused on SOC as a service, security operations center as a service, and really operational efficiency is our strong point. We're staffed with analysts and engineers, not ticket takers. Our SOC has about 2 times the average tenure of other SOCs in the business. The technology that we look at is mainly EDR and MDR. I'll talk about the partnerships, but the technology isn't as important as how we operationalize that technology, and it's part of why Comcast Business bought this established 25-year-old MSSP. We maintain a completely separate operations center from Comcast Business, and we're unique in the industry.
Wonderful. Thank you, Eric. Contestant number 3, we're going to move over to TJ Thielen, who was also smart enough to head out west from the Windy City out to sunny Phoenix, where you are somehow the grandfather of 3 human beings, and that blows my mind. I don't know how you have done that. Like the math does not math for me. But you also are a connoisseur of whiskey, and I like that.
Yep.
If you want to go ahead and do an overview of entirety, TJ, we'd love to hear that.
Sure. So when you think about entirety, we've been around for, gosh, 20, 25 years, which most may not know. It's a conglomeration of various different companies as we kind of grown up. But we started out as a data services company. Then we became an offering our cloud infrastructure, then managed security. So here we are today, 25 years later, kind of leading the industry, supplying both the managed security, cloud services, compliances, and delivering IT services for those customers that are looking for an all-in-one kind of service provider. That is my
Perfect.
quick 20-second, and we'll go on to our questions. We'll get in a little bit more.
I love that. Thank you. And finally, last but not least, and I'm not sure that TechMate is necessarily a name that everyone's familiar with on this call, so this one might be a little new, but Ryan Howard is a familiar face to many of us, and he's coming to us from the other coast in beautiful sunny New Jersey, where he spends his time playing lacrosse, playing with his kids, and being my biggest fan, I'm pretty sure. So I appreciate that. And I found out today that Ryan has surfed in over 20 countries, which is amazing.
Wow.
I don't even know if I could name 20 countries.
I don't know if I can either.
If you don't mind, will you give us the overview of TechMate for people that are not familiar?
Sure, and it's not surprising. We are probably the newest supplier to the Telarus ecosystem. So we do something that's very interesting and a little different within the channel. We provide boots on the ground as an extension to IT teams for better service delivery, projects, and just ongoing maintenance within IT organizations. So whether you're a TA or an MSP that needs boots on the ground for your clients, we have you. We're in over 400 cities in 20 different countries. So separate from the ones I've served in, but 20 different countries globally. So we're here to help.
Wonderful. So just to clarify, that's like boots on the ground as a service, right? Separate from the services that people are purchasing from others.
Correct. The only service we provide are the bodies that actually go out and do the physical IT work within offices and organizations that you sell to. So we don't compete with literally anyone in the ecosystem or the services that the TAs provide.
Awesome. Thank
So
you.
is that called bot gas?
Boots on the ground. That's
Had
a
to.
service.
Had to.
I like it. I like it. Why
I
not?
love it,
You know,
TJ.
we've got an acronym for everything else. Okay, so we're gonna get off with these questions. They're pretty short. I think this is really just meant to, like I said, simplify everything. So these are quick answers. So be ready for a little bit of a rapid fire round. But we'll start again with Jess. As far as AgileBlue goes, what is your superpower? What do you do better than anyone else? I don't want to say on this call, but anyone else in the industry?
Our superpower is simple. We stop cyber attacks faster and more accurately than those mature traditional technologies that are out there. And we're able to have this superpower because we are utilizing next gen technologies with our proprietary AI. This is the deal, folks. If your customers are not leveraging artificial intelligence in their environment, they are going to lose 100% of the time. Because guess what? All of the hackers out there are leveraging AI, and they're using these tools to be very precise and very accurate on their attacks. So you've probably heard, if you've attended, panels in the past, is you need to fight AI with AI. And since AgileBlue's platform, it's very important to know what separates us from a lot of the TSD security providers that are out there is that we are a platform. And since our platform is built from the ground up, we're able to achieve about a 98% accuracy with stopping attacks. Well, these traditional solutions out there are about sub 50%. So it's really, really scary to think right now you have customers that have invested in solutions that only protect them on average 50% of the time. It's an unfair fight, and that's why we believe this is our superpower.
Yeah, it's important, that like you said, the bad guys are getting so smart. Okay, next, let's stick in the same order for now. Eric, what's the superpower of Comcast Business and the security posture there?
Sure. It's about partnership with the customer. So every single engagement is customized. We provide tuning assistance, customized response procedures, and we dig into each of the steps so the customer can focus on resolution rather than issue discovery. So we help advise the customer on things like mitigation and remediation. And remediation would be defined as cleanup and things like reimaging, as opposed to mitigation, which is stopping further damage. The operational efficiency as we partner with the customer is really where it comes into play. So the way this looks for us, and again, using, as Jess has talked about and Tony has talked about, using AI, or what we used to call machine learning, what this looks like is we had a customer that had their own products. Everything was in-house. They were getting 5 million alerts per month. And as you can imagine, that's a whole lot of noise. It's kind of like a car alarm. If any of us hears a car alarm, I don't think anybody has ever stopped and said, oh, that's a car alarm, I should do something about that. It's like, oh my God, that's annoying, let's turn that thing off. So we went from 5 million alerts on this customer per month to 1,200 alerts, which is still a lot. And then we further break that down into actionable items. So that would be an example of what we do for our customers in our partnership with our customers. That would be.
I love that. I think the overwhelming amount of information that can be like ascertained from the logs and things like that, it's just, that's so intimidating for anybody. Like, I don't even read an email that's more than 3 lines long, let alone like 5 million, log entries or responses from those systems. So yeah, no, I love the idea of simplifying that whole platform. TJ, what's the superpower of entirety?
So Jess, you have very similar superpowers to us, but with us, I guess I would say our superpower is all about proactive security. So we also use similar technologies using AI to help kind of combine real-time threat detection. For us, compliance is huge. Like we actually have a compliance kind of program and offerings that not only can we look at doing security, but we also understand compliance. And then from our managed services that we have a 24/7, 365 managed services to stop the threats before they actually cause problems. So really, if you kind of think of us as a security partner who's one step ahead, no surprises, just protection.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. I like that we have overlap, because I think it's showing the advisors on the call that this is kind of the next gen wave of cyber technology. So I'm actually thrilled to see that the market, sees the value in these technologies. It's good.
I'm going to go off the rails here a little bit because I just want to throw this in here. The superpower or a superpower that I see for entirety also is the database management offering that I don't see in a lot of other suppliers. So I think that's a key differentiator also. So I don't know if you want to add on that or if that's
That was very tempting. I was keeping this focused around cyber.
yeah,
But
I appreciate that.
If you're going to go there, I'm going down that rabbit hole with you. So yes, probably one of the biggest superpowers, and you're going to see a big evolution change as us as entirety, is really focusing around what everyone knows is the most important. It's the gold that we all know. It's all about the data. And what we do and how we envision and how we help customers is really how do you manage that data? How do you cleanse that data? How do you prepare and get that data ready? So when customers are looking to have an AI strategy, they all want to go there. They all want to use it. But the first thing they do and they forget, what we always call it, think of us like a janitor, right? It's a dirty mess. It's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it. We want that opportunity to help customers get that data ready, get it clean, get it secure and compliant. So when they're ready to go there, that's set. And that's something that we do great. We've been doing it we've had this data side of our house for 20 years. Just no one knew about it. So here we are today. The market is meeting the business and where we grew up. So it couldn't be a better time now to have those data conversations and introduce entirety to help those customers.
Yeah. I think especially in the Midwest, you see a lot of the
Manufacturing.
oh God, yeah, manufacturing
know.
for sure. But you see a lot of the companies, like the customers on the coasts, kind of hit those first, right? And then the technology kind of like meets in the middle where we're
Yes.
like we're not the early adopters, right?
Mhm.
But now is the time to start really digging into that data and looking to the future. So okay, my little rabbit hole aside, Ryan, TechMate, let's talk about the superpower over there. What's different about you guys? Your entire operation is different than anybody else in the space right now.
Absolutely. And, you know, kind of to almost pick up on what TJ was saying, the janitors that we are the janitors of IT. We're doing the unsexy work that the IT organization doesn't want to do. We specialize in multi-location businesses, started focusing on law firms, accounting, finance, who had offices all over the world, but we've expanded and we're in the second largest IMA walk-in clinic in the US. And we also work in manufacturing, AgriPure, which is the largest dairy manufacturer to touch on the Midwest, utilizes our services. We provide the on-site IT work for all the WeWork offices. So, you know, your clients have a need for this. If they have multiple locations, it's certainly worth a conversation because those IT teams want to concentrate on that sexy stuff that Jess and TJ are talking about, the AI and all the high tech, cool stuff, the toys that are
Bringing
out
sexy
there, right?
back. It's fine.
You guys take the sexy back. We're doing the plumbing. So they don't want to fly to LA to go press the button to make the flashy light flash. We have technicians already in LA and we can send them into the office. So it's a great conversation, and we are the do you want fries with that sale for just about 80% of your customers.
You've taken my ADD on a ride here where you said the janitor of the industry, right? It makes me think of the Breakfast Club. Yeah. And like where Brian here is really interested in a career in the custodial arts. Thank you for doing that with us. No, I love that. I think it's really important that we have people that can do the implementations because the customers just don't always have that capability, right? So this does, I think, lower the barrier of entry for some of these solutions because it gives them the personnel to implement whatever it is we're trying to do.
We become the eyes and ears, to go back to the janitor in the Breakfast Club. We become the eyes and ears within the customers for your advisors as well, because we have after action reports and come back with data and things that a technician will see that perhaps a customer won't say to a salesperson. So I actually spiff my technicians myself. It doesn't affect commissions or anything. If anything comes up as actionably sellable to our TAs. So
Awesome.
We are driving business back to you guys.
You're saying that you are going to help us grow those customers after we've sold them already?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a common thread around all of our security suppliers, right? Is that dollar that you sell today in 6 months could be worth $1.40, right? It's a customer that's always going to grow. Okay, so really quick, speaking of customers, let's talk about the ideal customer profile of each of these organizations. So I think this can be done pretty quickly, and I'm going to go backwards. So Ryan, back to you. What's your ideal customer, the best customer fit for TechMate?
Sure. Typically 100 plus employees scaling up to 10,000. Ideal 2 to 3 locations minimum. Most often in professional services organizations. So think legal, accounting, finance, healthcare, management consulting. That's where we spend the majority of our time.
Awesome. TJ, what about Entirety? What's the ideal customer for Entirety?
Generally, I would say we're in the mid-market to small enterprise space. And from a vertical, I would say focused around healthcare, finance, software as a service, and legal. And then the big one, of course, is if you just take all that away, complex, like complex IT. So sometimes you can't equate that to necessarily a customer size, but we love complex, and customers like us because we can help complex problems, regardless of size or vertical.
So let's say that if we're having a conversation with a customer and what are we listening for? That I'm like, ooh, this is a complex sale that needs to go directly to Entirety. What does that red flag look like?
Yeah, I would say, it's multiple technologies of what they're trying to address, like from security to cloud to compliance, right? It's layering on the various problems they might have from even the different parts of the business, right? They all have various different problems, not necessarily I have a cloud issue, I have a security problem, right? That's great.
Yeah.
The best customers are those that have multiple problems because they see the value of a managed service provider, that we can provide value across all their needs versus just addressing one tactical problem, which end of the day, if you come in and it's tactical, it doesn't really turn into strategic.
So, and this is out of my curiosity, but like if you're dealing with like mid-market to small enterprise, right? They generally have at least some form of an IT support team, right? So, at what point does it make sense to bring you guys in where it's like it's probably too much for that team to manage on their own internally?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing and the bad thing, right? Mid-market to small enterprise, they have a team that's probably being overrun the amount of work they're trying to get done. They just can't meet the business needs, and they don't want to invest in their own people to take on those additional needs. So they make a pivotal point in that choice is, do we invest in ourselves and spend the money and everything that comes along with it, vacation time, sick time, people leaving, people hiring, or
It's hard to
you-
keep those people,
yeah.
right? At some
So
point, you're replacing those people and teaching them
yeah,
again.
we become an extension of their teams, and if they understand that, we're not here to replace anyone. We are here to enhance what they can do to go. They should be generating revenue for their company, not handling things that does not actually generate the money. I'm going to go back to the janitor, right? Let us take off all those non-revenue generating problems they have. Let us take care of that. So their goal and that team, they still need to be there. We still need to work with them, but let them go do things that generate business revenue for the company.
Yeah, I love that. All right, Eric, over to you. What's the ideal customer profile? That's a tough one, I think, for Comcast.
Yeah, it could be Tony's Pizza Shop all the way up to a multinational bank, right? So we'll focus on security and not unlike what TJ talked about. It's more than about size. Size and vertical are not that important for us. It's about risk and reward. Does the customer understand the risk? Have they made an investment to look into what the cost of a compromise or a breach would be? Are they willing to have the conversation? If there's a heavy risk, they're likely a good prospect for us. We don't do much in the SMB space when it comes to security, except for our DDoS offering, which is really what we're talking about here. Our DDoS mitigation offering. It's not what we're talking about. It's a matter of a customer that understands that security is a business problem, not an IT problem, and what the risk is involved in that. We can engage with that customer. If they're just trying to check a box, that's not necessarily what we're about. So that would be the ideal customer, somebody that understands the risk, that understands that security is a business problem, as opposed to their size or their vertical.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jess, over to you. Like, what does the ideal customer profile look like for AgileBlue?
Yeah, definitely. So we are true small to medium-sized business play. So the SMB market continues to show us that they are very, very underserved when it comes to cybersecurity solutions. So when you think of an AgileBlue, you want to think about 100 to 2,500-ish users. Now, this being said, once you get north of about 3,000-ish employees, that organization from an ROI perspective most likely wants to have their own SOC. If they don't want to be in the business of a SOC, we can absolutely help them. We're in the process of quoting a 13,000 user organization now. But if they don't want a SOC, we can offer them a SOC with our solution. And we really focus on kind of what you said, TJ. It's really, really hard to invest in talent. Salaries are expensive. Engineers, job hop for a small, certain salary percentage. So what we find is a lot of our customers either have a full IT team and we come in over the top and help them with the alerts, or it's just an office manager somewhere, right? They have no IT team at all. Remember, this is SMB. These are small to medium-sized businesses. Sometimes our customers have a budget, sometimes they don't. And since we leverage the AI within our ecosystem, we're able to come in at a really, really palatable price point that our partners really, really like to see. From an industry perspective, we do a ton of SLED. We're able to do SLED through Telarus, so we can absolutely help you there. We see a ton in higher education and higher ed. Actually, just listen to a podcast and think about a school. Think of K through 12. Do you think that they have the financial ability to hire an engineer that's the level of maybe a Google, right? They just don't have the talent. So they're very, very exposed. Any organization that has compliances, we do a ton with manufacturing, fintech, legal, e-commerce, and retail as well. And also businesses that want to reduce vendor sprawl because there's a lot of noise. On average, in organizations, probably your customers on the call, or everyone on the call today, your customers have probably on average invested in about 6 to 8 security tools right now, and it is a nightmare for them to manage it. So we can come over the top, use the existing tools that they have, or we can consolidate vendor sprawl.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Did I get to everybody on that question? I switched it up and I can't follow my own program here. All right. Then we're to the last question and then we're going to get to the prizes. So this is going to be real quick, rapid fire, I suppose. And I'm going to totally mix it up. So I will definitely forget somebody. Let's start with TJ. If you can summarize the entirety security practice in one sentence, what is that one sentence? So we can remember it when we leave here.
Ready? Here we
Yeah.
go. Think entirety for secure, AI-ready data strategies that empower businesses to modernize, stay compliant, and outpace cyber threats.
Beautiful. All right, Eric.
All right, so Comcast Business Security Team works in conjunction with the customer security teams to not only make their jobs more easy, it makes it possible 24/7.
Perfect.
That's it.
All right, Jess.
AgileBlue is your AI-powered SecOps provider to help you stay ahead of next-gen attacks. So whether it be looking at your endpoints, your network, your cloud, think of us for your SMB customers that need that outsourced security. So whether it be SOC, as I mentioned before, vulnerability scanning, security assessments, MDR, EDR, XDR, right? The whole alphabet soup, M365 security, we can absolutely help you there. We've talked about janitorial work. One thing that we do at AgileBlue is patching. I think everyone on this call can agree. Your customers do not want to patch. So just think of us for your SMB customers that need protection.
Wonderful. And Ryan?
On-site, on-demand, smart hands as an extension of your IT team, wherever you need us.
In the custodial arts.
In the
Podcast.
custodial.
Perfect.
Custodial arts.
I love that. All right. I'm going to share my screen. I do have the wheel of wonderful things. Hold on a second. Let me figure out if I can do this. We're going to do it together, you guys. We're going to make it. We're going to share all of the sound. Okay. For everybody that's on this call, the first one of these we are going to spin for from Entirety an Amazon gift card for $50. And the winner is you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Jackson Harper. Woo! Okay. Should have had a better plan for like making sure I remember
Okay,
these
crack.
things.
I write it down. We have the
I'll
AI
write
note
down.
taker.
That's true. Oh, that's right. That we did not
This
want
whole
to
AI thing might
This
just
whole,
take off.
this AI thing, I'm telling you, it's great.
Apparently it's doing it. Like it's making waves. All right, from Comcast Business, it is a pickleball set, which I desperately want because I need to beat Anton at pickleball one of these days.
He's a big pickleballer.
Oh man, he's really good at
He's
it.
like really into it.
Oh,
It's good.
no. Oh, Stephen Koval.
He's in my backyard.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for joining us. All right, off we go. The next one is TechMate. TechMate, did you pick a prize? Did you tell me what it was?
I texted it to you.
Oh, you want to tell them what it is?
Is it a
Sure,
brand new
it's
car?
an
Brand
Amazon
new
gift card.
car.
An Amazon gift card for Albroida right here in my backyard, as a matter of fact. All right. And the last one, and I saved this for last because I think this is kind of cool, but AgileBlue is going to send a bottle of wine for your date night for joining the dating game. 1 second, please. And the winner is?
Good job, Jess.
Speed dating's always better with wine.
You guys crushed it. Like you knew the assignment, and I love that everybody went in on this. Samantha Parker.
Oh, she can't. She's an AgileBlue employee, so she can't.
Oh,
Sorry,
she is
Sam.
removed from the list.
Sorry,
of
Sam.
Spin again.
Sorry.
But she was excited for a minute.
Super.
Dan Cronin, a face
But,
that
yeah, we can't-
everybody knows.
You can't do Dan either. Wow, this is really underwhelming.
All right, which Dan? Is it the Dan? Okay, I don't know which Dan it is.
That's my Dan. Aw.
Your Dan?
Wah, wah.
Oh, I thought it was my Dan.
Oh, is it your Dan?
I don't know. I guess we'll
Is it?
If he's mad, we'll find out. Joe Kroll. Okay.
Dan Cronin. Who are you with?
Do
Is
you
the
want to
real
put it in the
DC.
chat?
It's the real one.
We'll
The real
see.
DC. I don't know. I don't
If
know.
it's my
Joe.
DC,
We'll figure that out later.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
All
You
right.
know what? We will make sure that both get compensated if they're okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
You guys, thank you for doing this. I know it was a little bit different. I'm glad we could change it up, shake it up a little bit on this conversation. So we appreciate you getting on here with us today. To AgileBlue, Comcast Business, Entirety, TechMate, thank you for doing this with me today. You guys were all wonderful. And I hope that this really did simplify some of those conversations for us out there in the field. I know none of us are going to go out there without thinking about the janitorial arts from now on. So I really appreciate this, you guys. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.